Hey, gang, and welcome back to the Movie-Club Emporium. And we are in our second week of talking holiday, or bear binging on holiday schlock. And we're talking about part two of the Silent Night, Deadly Night saga. Uh, if I said last week that Silent Night, Deadly Night OG is the peak of quality of this franchise, which is true. However, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, for those in the know, is probably the most memorable because it is definitely so bad it's good. Um, and maybe one of the only ones of these sequels that's so bad it's good. This one dropped in 1987, and it's kind of a genius thing. Because the movie was pulled from the OG one was pulled from theaters 2 weeks into its theatrical run, they were like, what can we do? Let's rush into a sequel. But let's make the sequel also be more than half of it being the length of the OG movie. So that we're kind of like, A, we're getting to shoot a cheaper movie. And B, we get to use all the footage from that first movie that nobody saw in the theater because of all the protests. And so this is a 98-minute movie where 50 minutes of it is just footage from the first movie. Only this time we are following Ricky, who is the younger brother of Billy, who you didn't know was in the car, but now we've retconned he's in the car when his parents are brutally assaulted. Not only that, but he is in the nursing home, in the orphanage, and sees his brother taken out as well by police. And now we see Ricky's side of this movie is that it is told in flashback, aka most of the footage from the first movie, while he's in prison or jail talking to a psychiatrist. And this is where we're introduced to Eric Freeman, who plays Ricky. And according to IMDb, he was told two different ways to play the character by the director one way and then the producer the other. And so he just decided to play it all eyebrows because Ricky talks and all he does is move his eyebrows every time he says anything. And this is the epitome of like just like Neil Breen levels of like just we're in this character. And it is absolutely fantastic. He then we're seeing all these things where he is just taking out people in the most insane ways. He goes to a movie theater. He meets this young woman, saves her. Meets a young woman. They go to the movies where they end up watching the first movie, which is weird. He takes out a guy with jumper cables until his eyeballs pop. I'm really dancing around the algorithm here. He removes someone else from the chessboard with an umbrella. There's a scene where he stops a SA on a woman by repeatedly running over the accoster with a Jeep. And then, of course, the infamous scene, Garbage Day, where he is just walking down the street and yells, "Garbage Day!" and then shoots a gun at a guy through a metal trash can. Before ultimately being arrested, and then we're at present day, where he then escapes, dons a Santa suit, and goes after the now invalid Mother Superior, who was also burned. And I'm assuming she's burned because they can hide that it's not the same woman, but she's living in this like home that There, she's in a wheelchair and it seems to always be parked by the staircase. He goes after her, but she thwarts him up to a point until, uh, like most of these movies, he himself is taken out. But he would not be gone for long because he comes back in an even weirder way in the next film. And I may be glossing over a lot of this movie. I again, of the 5 movies, this one is my favorite just because it is so insane. It's got insane writing. The acting in it is crazy. It's got some wild slashings, and it's just the peak of like, what were we doing? And sometimes you want that in a movie, especially like a cheap movie like this. Let's just go off the rails, and I mean off the rails with this movie. And it's a lot of fun. It's to me, it's the most fun of this franchise. But unfortunately, as this one is so bad it's good, the rest of these 3 movies are so bad. This is where we fall off. It's only going to get cheaper. It's only going to get weirder. And so make sure you don't miss it. And the best way to do that is by doing the YouTube things, liking it, subscribing, sharing with your friends. You see, we do this every single week. We're talking movies. Once a month, we do it live. So you don't want to miss when we do that because that's a lot of fun. So make sure you're subscribed. Share it around with your friends. Right now we are at thankful yet small. We're beginning. We're new to this YouTube thing. We're at 60 subscribers. We'd like to hit 100 in 2026. So make sure you're helping us get there. Be one of them, and don't miss when we're going. Next week we are talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3. Better watch out. And this one is where the franchise has gone off the rails, and now we are fully just going down a loose gravel mountainside because we are just tumbling down. So you don't want to miss that next week. Until then, check out the garbage. But make sure you do it on the appropriate day, and don't put battery jumper cables on your face. Bye.